Let me tell you something that stopped me in my tracks the first time I came across it. There is a plant, an ordinary looking tree that grows in backyards across South Asia, Africa, and parts of Latin America that contains more iron than spinach, more vitamin C than oranges, more calcium than milk, and more protein per gram than eggs. And yet, most people in the modern world have never even heard its name. That plant is Moringa oleifera. And today, I want to talk to you about one of its most underappreciated superpowers, the way it transforms your body's metabolism, specifically around energy production, iron absorption, and cellular vitality, in a way that I genuinely believe deserves the title Iron Man Metabolism. Now, before we go any further, I want to ask you something, and I genuinely want you to answer in the comments below. How often do you feel tired for no obvious reason? You slept, you ate, you did everything right, and yet by 2 in the afternoon, your energy is completely gone. Your brain feels foggy, your motivation disappears, your body just feels heavy. If that sounds familiar, I want you to type the word tired in the comments right now because you are not alone. And more importantly, what you are experiencing may have a root cause that nobody has ever properly explained to you. And Moringa might be exactly what your body has been waiting for. So let's start at the very beginning because I think understanding why your body runs out of energy is just as important as knowing how to fix it. And everything, truly everything, comes back to iron. Iron is one of the most essential minerals in the human body. I don't mean that loosely or casually. I mean that without iron, your body literally cannot transport oxygen from your lungs to your muscles, your brain, your organs, or your cells. Iron is the central atom inside hemoglobin, the protein in your red blood cells that grabs onto oxygen and carries it through your bloodstream. When your iron levels are low, your red blood cells become smaller and weaker. They carry less oxygen. And when your cells don't get enough oxygen, they can't produce energy efficiently. The result? You feel exhausted, breathless, cold, unfocused, irritable. You feel like your battery is permanently at 15% no matter how much you sleep or how well you try to eat. This condition, iron deficiency, is the most widespread nutritional deficiency on the planet. The World Health Organization estimates that over 2 billion people worldwide are affected by it. And here is the part that really surprises people. A huge proportion of those individuals are not technically anemic yet. They are in a stage called latent iron deficiency, where their stored iron is depleted, but their blood counts haven't collapsed far enough to show up on a basic test. They feel terrible, they go to the doctor runs a quick test, and they're told everything is normal. But it isn't normal. Their body is starving for iron, and nobody caught it in time. Now, here is where Moringa enters the story in a way that genuinely excites me every time I talk about it. Moringa leaves, when dried and powdered, contain extraordinary levels of iron. We're talking approximately 28 milligrams of iron per 100 grams of dry moringa powder. To put that into perspective, cooked spinach, long celebrated as the poster child of plant based iron, contains around 3.5 milligrams per 100 grams. Moringa contains roughly 8 times more iron by weight. 8 times. And it gets even better when you factor in the bioavailability equation, which I'll come back to in just a moment, because that is where Moringa truly earns its Iron Man reputation. But iron is just one chapter in this story. What makes Moringa truly remarkable, what makes it metabolically extraordinary, is the complete nutritional ecosystem it delivers alongside that iron. You see, iron absorption and iron utilization are not simple standalone processes. They depend on a cascade of cofactors, other nutrients that either enable iron to enter your bloodstream, help your body build healthy red blood cells, or support the cellular machinery that converts oxygen into usable energy. And moringa, as if designed by some perfect intelligence, contains almost all of those cofactors in one place. Let's talk about vitamin C first, because this one is critical. Vitamin C dramatically enhances the absorption of non heme iron, which is the type of iron found in plant based foods, including moringa. In scientific terms, vitamin C converts iron from its ferric form, which the body struggles to absorb, into its ferrous form, which the gut absorbs much more easily. Studies have shown that consuming vitamin C alongside plant based iron can increase absorption by anywhere from 2 to 6 times. And fresh moringa leaves contain significant amounts of vitamin C. So, moringa doesn't just give you iron, it comes packaged with one of the most powerful iron absorption enhancers that exists in nature. That's not a coincidence, that's nutritional synergy. Then there is vitamin A and beta carotene, both of which moringa contains in impressive quantities. Vitamin A plays a critical role in iron metabolism by helping mobilize iron from your body's storage sites, primarily the liver, into your bloodstream where it can actually be used. People who are deficient in vitamin A often develop a condition called functional iron deficiency, where they have iron stored in their tissues but can't release it properly. Their body is essentially sitting on a treasure chest it can't open. Moringa helps open that chest. Now let's talk about the B vitamins, because metabolism isn't just about iron. Metabolism is about every biochemical process your body uses to convert food into energy. And the B vitamin family, particularly B1, B2, B3, B6, and folate, are the master regulators of that conversion process. Without adequate B vitamins, your mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside every cell, cannot efficiently run the metabolic pathways that produce ATP, which is the actual currency of cellular energy. You can eat a perfectly balanced diet and still feel fatigued if your B vitamin status is compromised. Moringa contains a broad spectrum of B vitamins, including notable amounts of riboflavin, B6, and folate, all of which contribute to a more efficient, more energized metabolism. Folate specifically deserves its own mention in the context of iron and red blood cells. Folate is essential for DNA synthesis and cell division, and red blood cells, which live for about 120 days and must be continuously replaced, depend heavily on folate for their production. Folate deficiency leads to a specific type of anemia called megaloblastic anemia, where red blood cells become abnormally large and dysfunctional. When you support your folate status alongside your iron status, you give your body the complete toolkit it needs to build healthy, functional red blood cells that can actually do their job of delivering oxygen where it's needed. And what about protein? Most people don't associate a plant leaf with significant protein content, but moringa is exceptional here too. Gram for gram, dried moringa powder contains around 25 to 30% protein by weight, and crucially, it contains all 9 essential amino acids, making it one of the rare complete plant proteins. Why does protein matter for metabolism and energy? Because your body uses amino acids to build enzymes, transport molecules, and structural proteins, including hemoglobin itself. If you're iron deficient and also protein insufficient, your body doesn't just lack the raw material for red blood cells, it also lacks the structural framework to put them together properly. Moringa addresses both at once. Now, I want to come back to something I mentioned earlier: bioavailability, because this is where a lot of people get confused when they compare different iron sources. The iron in red meat, called hemi iron, is absorbed at a rate of roughly 15 to 35%. The iron in plant foods, called non heme iron, is typically absorbed at a lower rate, somewhere between 2 and 20%, depending heavily on what else you eat alongside it. This is why vegetarians and vegans are statistically more prone to iron deficiency. Not because they eat too little iron, but because their iron is harder for the body to absorb. But here is the thing: that absorption rate is not fixed. It's deeply influenced by the nutritional context in which the iron is consumed. Eat plant iron with vitamin C, absorption goes up dramatically. Eat plant iron without phytates and tannins blocking it, absorption improves further. And moringa, particularly when the leaves are consumed fresh or the powder is prepared without heavy processing, provides iron in a matrix that is relatively rich in absorption enhancers and lower in the major absorption inhibitors found in some other plant foods. Additionally, there is emerging research suggesting that certain polyphenols and bioactive compounds in moringa may influence the expression of iron transporter proteins in the gut lining. These proteins, particularly DMT1 and ferroportin, are literally the gates through which iron enters your bloodstream. Early laboratory and animal studies have shown that moringa extracts may upregulate these transporters, potentially improving iron uptake at a biological level beyond just the chemical conversion that vitamin C provides. Now, I want to be transparent with you. A lot of this research is still developing, and we need more large scale human trials to confirm the full picture. But the early signals are genuinely promising, and they align with what many traditional medicine practitioners have observed for centuries. Speaking of tradition, moringa is not a new discovery. It has been used in Ayurvedic medicine in India for over 4,000 years. Traditional practitioners prescribed it for conditions we would today recognize as iron deficiency anemia, chronic fatigue, malnutrition, inflammation, and metabolic weakness. In parts of Africa, moringa leaves have been given to nursing mothers and malnourished children to rapidly restore nutritional status. In the Philippines, it is a staple in traditional soups given to postpartum women to rebuild their strength and support lactation. These are not myths or folk tales. These are observations accumulated across thousands of years of human use, and modern nutritional science is steadily catching up to explain why they worked. Now, let's talk about the metabolism piece more deeply, because I think this is where the Iron Man connection becomes really vivid. When you imagine Iron Man, Tony Stark in his suit, what do you picture? You picture someone with an inexhaustible power source at the center of his chest: clean, efficient, constant energy output, no crashes, no slowdowns. That arc reactor keeps everything running at full capacity no matter what he faces. And that, to me, is the perfect metaphor for what optimal iron metabolism combined with full micronutrient support actually feels like in your body. Your mitochondria are your arc reactor. Every cell in your body has them. Some cells have hundreds, some have thousands. And their entire purpose is to take the nutrients you consume and the oxygen your blood delivers and convert them into ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the energy molecule that powers every single biological function, from muscle contractions to brain activity to immune response. When your iron is optimal, when your B vitamins are sufficient, when your antioxidant status is strong, and when your cellular environment is free from excessive oxidative stress, your mitochondria run cleanly and powerfully. You feel alive, sharp, strong, resilient. But when any one of those factors is compromised, when iron is low, when vitamin C is insufficient, when oxidative stress is high, the whole system starts to sputter. Your mitochondria become less efficient. They produce less ATP per unit of fuel. They generate more cellular waste. And you feel it, not just as tiredness, but as brain fog, muscle weakness, slow recovery, low mood, poor concentration, and that dragging, heavy feeling that makes even simple tasks feel like enormous effort. Moringa addresses this multifactorial problem from multiple angles simultaneously. The iron boosts hemoglobin production and oxygen delivery. The vitamin C enhances iron absorption and protects cells from oxidative damage. The B vitamins support the enzymatic reactions inside mitochondria. The protein provides the amino acid building blocks for enzymes and transport molecules. The chlorophyll, which gives moringa its deep green color, may support blood cell health and detoxification. And moringa's exceptional antioxidant profile, including compounds like quercetin, camphorol, and chlorogenic acid, helps neutralize the free radicals that can damage mitochondria and disrupt energy production. This is not a single ingredient fix. This is a comprehensive nutritional intervention wrapped inside a single whole food. And that is why I find moringa so compelling as a metabolic support tool. It's not targeting one pathway and leaving the others to struggle. It's nourishing the entire ecosystem at once. Let me share some of the human research with you because I know some of you want the science, not just the story. A study published in the journal Nutrients looked at the effect of moringa leaf powder supplementation on iron status in women of reproductive age, a population that is disproportionately affected by iron deficiency due to menstrual blood loss. The women who received moringa supplementation showed measurable improvements in serum ferritin, the marker of iron storage, compared to controls. Ferritin is actually more clinically meaningful than hemoglobin in early iron deficiency because ferritin drops long before hemoglobin does, meaning Moringa was catching and reversing the deficiency at a very early stage. Another study conducted in developing countries looked at Moringa supplementation in children with subclinical iron deficiency. After several weeks of Moringa leaf powder added to their food, the children showed improvements not only in iron markers, but also in overall energy, attention, and cognitive performance, outcomes that are directly linked to oxygen delivery to the brain. When the brain gets more oxygen, it works better. It is that fundamental. There is also research on moringa's effect on blood glucose regulation and insulin sensitivity, which connects deeply to metabolic health and energy levels. Unstable blood sugar is one of the most common and most overlooked causes of energy crashes throughout the day. When your blood sugar spikes after a meal and then drops sharply, you feel that crash viscerally. The afternoon slump, the sudden loss of focus, the craving for sugar or caffeine. Moringa contains isothiocyanates and other bioactive compounds that appear to help moderate post meal blood sugar spikes and support insulin sensitivity. This means more stable energy throughout the day, not a burst followed by a crash, but a steady, sustainable output, much more like that arc reactor powering Tony Stark's suit than a flickering, unreliable battery. Now I want to talk practically because information without application isn't much use to you. How do you actually use Moringa? What form is best? How much should you take? Let me walk you through it. Moringa is most commonly available as a dried leaf powder. This is probably the most convenient and widely accessible form. The powder is made by drying moringa leaves, ideally at low temperatures to preserve the heat sensitive nutrients like vitamin C, and then grinding them into a fine green powder. 1 teaspoon of high quality moringa powder contains roughly 2 to 3 grams of powder and provides meaningful amounts of iron, vitamin C, vitamin A, B vitamins, protein, and antioxidants. Most people start with 1 teaspoon per day and work up to 1 or 2 tablespoons if they tolerate it well. You can add moringa powder to smoothies, stir it into warm water with lemon, mix it into soups or stews, blend it into sauces, or sprinkle it over food. It has a mild, slightly earthy, grassy flavor. Some people love it immediately, others take a little time to adjust. One important tip: pair your moringa with a source of vitamin C if the powder you're using has been heavily processed and may have lost some of its natural vitamin C content. A squeeze of lemon or lime, a small glass of orange juice, or a handful of berries alongside your moringa can help optimize iron absorption. Fresh moringa leaves are arguably even more nutritious than the powder because no drying or processing has occurred. If you live in a tropical or subtropical climate where moringa trees grow, and this includes much of South Asia, Southeast Asia, Central and West Africa, the Caribbean, and parts of Latin America, you may have access to fresh leaves. These can be cooked lightly and added to soups and curries, or even eaten raw in small quantities as part of a salad. The leaves have a pleasant, slightly peppery flavor when fresh. Moringa capsules and tablets are also available for people who prefer a supplement format. These are convenient and easy to dose accurately, and they may be a good option for people with busy lifestyles or who find the flavor of the powder challenging. If you choose capsules, look for products that specify the moringa is leaf powder, not extract, not root powder, and preferably from certified organic sources to minimize pesticide exposure. A word of caution, because I always want to give you the full picture. Moringa is very safe for most people. It has been consumed as a food and medicine for thousands of years with an excellent safety record. However, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, moringa root and root bark have different chemical profiles from the leaves and are not recommended in large quantities, particularly during pregnancy. Always stick to leaf products. Second, if you are on medication for thyroid conditions, blood pressure, or blood sugar, speak to your doctor before adding moringa regularly to your diet, as its bioactive compounds could theoretically interact with some medications. Third, pregnant women should consult their healthcare provider before using moringa as a supplement, though consuming it as a food in normal culinary amounts is generally considered safe in many traditional cultures. And please remember, and this is important, if you suspect you are iron deficient, See your doctor and get a proper blood test. A simple panel that includes serum iron, ferritin, transferrin saturation, and a complete blood count will give you a clear picture of your iron status. Moringa is a powerful nutritional tool, but it is not a replacement for medical diagnosis or treatment. And if your iron deficiency is severe, you may need therapeutic iron supplementation alongside dietary changes. Now, let me bring this full circle because I want you to walk away from this conversation not just informed, but genuinely inspired. I want you to see yourself differently than you did 15 minutes ago because the truth is, fatigue and low energy are not inevitable. They are not just part of getting older, they are not something you have to accept as your new normal. For many, many people, chronic fatigue, brain fog, low motivation, and poor exercise tolerance are nutritional problems, problems that can be meaningfully addressed with the right foods and the right knowledge. Moringa represents something I find deeply moving about the natural world: the idea that the solutions to many of our modern health struggles have been growing in the earth all along, waiting for us to rediscover them. Long before iron supplements existed, long before pharmaceutical interventions, long before blood tests and laboratory analysis, communities across the world looked at a green leaf on a simple tree and understood, through experience and observation, that it made people stronger, more energetic, more resilient. And they were right. Science is now showing us precisely why they were right. Iron, vitamin C, vitamin A, folate, B vitamins, complete protein, antioxidants, bioactive compounds that support metabolic function at the cellular level. All of it wrapped up in one humble green leaf. That is the Iron Man metabolism that Moringa makes possible, not a suit of armor, but something even better. A body that produces its own energy cleanly, consistently, and powerfully from within. So here is what I want you to do right now. Start small. Order some moringa leaf powder from a trusted source. Add a teaspoon to your morning smoothie or a glass of lemon water. Give it 4 weeks. That is long enough for your iron stores to begin improving, for your red blood cell production to shift, and for your cells to start running more efficiently. Pay attention to how you feel. Notice your energy levels. Notice your mental clarity. Notice your sleep quality and your mood. And come back and tell me what changed, because I genuinely want to know. And if you have a friend or a family member who is constantly tired, who struggles through every afternoon, who feels like their battery never fully charges, please share this video with them. Because sometimes all it takes is the right information at the right moment to change someone's health trajectory completely. You deserve to feel energized. You deserve to wake up ready. You deserve to move through your day with strength and focus and vitality. And I truly believe that for many of you, the path to that version of yourself begins with something as simple and as ancient and as powerful as a moringa leaf. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for investing this time in your own health. Now go do something with this knowledge. Your body is ready for the upgrade.